Sometimes, the most incredible treasures are hiding right in plain sight, tucked away in an old change jar, forgotten in a desk drawer, or mixed in with ordinary pocket money. Today, we're bringing the spotlight to 3 dimes that have defied expectations, quietly becoming some of the most sought-after coins among collectors and investors alike. These aren't ancient rarities locked behind museum glass, they're modern-era coins you might have brushed past without even knowing. Stay with me as we explore the stories, the secrets, and the real-world market value behind these fascinating pieces. Let's kick things off with the 1998 US. 1 dime, a coin that at first glance seems perfectly ordinary, but dig a little deeper and you'll find it's anything but. The story of the 1998 dime starts with the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and busiest in the country. By the late 90s, coin production was running at a breakneck pace. Billions of coins were flying off the presses every year. With that volume, small mistakes could, and did, slip through the cracks, making error coins like the 1998 dime possible. One of the standout varieties for the 1998 dime is the no mint mark version. Now, a missing mint mark might not sound like a big deal at first, but here's why it matters. Normally, dimes produced in Philadelphia around that time still carried a P mint mark. When that mark is absent, it immediately signals something went wrong during production. Most often, it's because the die used to stamp the coins wasn't properly prepared. That tiny omission instantly turns an everyday coin into a rarity. Key identifying features collectors look for include a crisp, clean Roosevelt profile on the obverse, no P mint mark above the date, and a strong strike overall. Some 1998 dimes without a mint mark show slight doubling. That's a subtle shadowing or ghosting effect around the lettering and date, a result of minor mechanical mishaps during production. It's details like these that send seasoned collectors reaching for their loupes. Now, let's talk about value. A standard 1998 dime in circulated condition, even without the mint mark, might fetch around $15 to $50, not bad for a coin that once lived in someone's jean pocket. But in higher grades, especially mint state 65 and above, the price jumps dramatically. Examples graded MS-68, with brilliant surfaces and razor-sharp strikes, have sold for $500 to $750 at auction. A few exceptional pieces with Top Pop certification have even nudged past the $1,000 mark when multiple bidders get involved. It's proof that condition truly reigns supreme in numismatics. An interesting bit of trivia: in the late 90s, as coin forums and early online marketplaces like eBay started picking up steam, collectors began sharing photos of their odd-looking 1998 dimes. It created a mini frenzy. Suddenly, everyone was checking their change, and the public awareness around error coins took a major leap forward. That grassroots excitement arguably helped push the coin hobby into the modern internet age we know today. Condition plays a huge role in the 1998 dime's desirability. A circulated example with heavy wear, flattened hairlines on Roosevelt's head, worn lettering, or a dull, lifeless surface, might only draw casual interest. But the same coin, in gem uncirculated condition with dazzling luster and almost no visible flaws under 5x magnification, is a completely different story. Collectors hunt those coins fiercely because high-grade survivors are few and far between. A perfect example can become a centerpiece in a modern error coin collection. Of course, authentication is critical. With a coin like the 1998 no mint mark dime, subtle fakes have emerged over the years, typically regular dimes with the mint mark polished off. That's why reputable third-party grading and authentication from PCGS or NGC isn't just recommended, it's essential. Having the coin slabbed and certified immediately boosts buyer confidence and market value. When you hold a genuine 1998 no mint mark dime in your hand, you're not just holding a production error, you're holding a piece of late 20th century coinage history, a reminder of how even in an era of machines and mass production, human error and chance still had their say. It's that rare blend of story, scarcity, and tangible beauty that keeps collectors coming back for more. Alright, now that we've unraveled the secrets of the 1998 dime, let's fast forward a few years to a coin that carries its own unique surprises, the 2003 US. 1 dime. The 2003 US. 1 dime might not seem like a natural candidate for fame at first glance. After all, by the early 2000s, US mint technology had become highly sophisticated, with strict quality control processes that made major mistakes increasingly rare. But sometimes, against all odds, a few truly fascinating pieces slipped through, and when they did, they sent shockwaves through the collecting world. The most prized variety from 2003 is the so-called off-center strike dime. In simple terms, this happens when the coin blank, or planchet, isn't properly seated in the coining press. Instead of being struck perfectly between the two dies, it's off to the side, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing, sometimes dramatically so. The error is immediately obvious and, frankly, kind of mesmerizing. You'll often see dimes where Roosevelt's face is squished to the left or right, with wide blank spaces eating into the rim. Another 2003 anomaly that gets collectors talking is the clipped planchet error. Picture a bite taken out of the edge of the coin. That's basically what a clipped planchet looks like. These happen during the blanking process when metal strips are punched improperly, causing overlapping cuts. It's an error rooted deep in the earliest stage of production, which makes it all the more exciting. Key features to watch for on the 2003 error dimes include the degree of off-center striking. Coins that are around 5 to 10% off-center are collectible, but once you get to 40%, 50%, or even more, the rarity and desirability skyrocket. With clipped planchets, the size, shape, and positioning of the clip play a huge role. A neat crescent-shaped clip on a well-centered coin can be extremely valuable. As for market value, the range is pretty wide depending on the severity of the error and the overall condition. A minor off-center 2003 dime in circulated shape might pull in around $30 to $75. But examples that are off-center by more than 50%, with full dates and mint marks visible, regularly fetch $300 to $600 at auction. Coins with extreme off-centering, where Roosevelt's profile is barely clinging to the edge, have sold for over $1,000, especially when preserved in mint state grades. Clipped planchet errors show similar patterns. Minor clips, where just a tiny nibble is missing, might sell for $25 to $50. But dramatic full clips, particularly those combined with a high-grade, lustrous surface, can push past $500. And if you get a double clip, where two edges of the coin are clipped, now you're talking even bigger money. One really fun story: in 2018, a collector walking through a local coin show found a 2003 dime that had not just a full off-center strike but also a visible partial collar error. This double error was so unusual that the coin sold privately for over $2,000 within a week. It just goes to show that even with modern coins, the unexpected still grabs attention, and serious dollars. Condition, once again, makes or breaks the value. A 2003 off-center dime with heavy scratches, dull surfaces, or cleaning damage is going to be tough to sell to a discerning collector. But a brilliant, frosty example with minimal contact marks? That's the dream. Mint State 67 and higher examples, especially those with eye-popping errors, almost always find eager buyers. Authentication also plays a huge role, particularly with clipped planchets. Some counterfeits exist where unscrupulous individuals try to mimic the clipping by manually cutting coins. Trained graders can usually spot these easily. Look at the metal flow lines at the edge of a genuine clip, and you'll see a smooth, natural curve instead of a harsh mechanical cut. The 2003 dime serves as a fascinating reminder that no matter how perfect technology becomes, true perfection remains elusive. Machines may be fast and efficient, but they're still run by humans, and humans, even unknowingly, leave behind some beautiful mistakes. For collectors, that's a blessing. Every off-center strike, every clipped planchet tells a story of chance, of imperfection, and of uniqueness, and that's exactly why these coins continue to captivate. Now, while the 2003 dimes wow us with bold, visual errors, the next coin we're diving into brings a very different kind of intrigue, a modern piece where a tiny detail can mean the difference between face value and a small fortune. Let's talk about the 2015 US 1 dime. By the time we reached the 2015 US 1 dime, the US Mint was running like a well-oiled machine. Advances in minting technology meant fewer and fewer noticeable errors were making it into circulation. But as any seasoned collector knows, that just makes the rare mistakes even more desirable. And the 2015 dime has a few fascinating surprises up its sleeve that prove newer coins can absolutely demand attention, and serious money. The standout story for the 2015 dime centers around missing clad layer errors. Let's break that down. Modern dimes aren't made from solid silver anymore, they're a sandwich of copper and nickel layers fused together. When that fusion process goes wrong, a dime might be missing its outer nickel layer on one or both sides. Instead of the usual shiny silver color, the exposed copper gives the coin a distinct reddish-brown tone. It's immediately striking once you know what you're looking for, and it's far from common. Some 2015 dimes also show off dramatic die break errors. These happen when the die, the hardened piece of metal that stamps the coin's design, develops cracks from repeated use. When the cracked die strikes the blank, the resulting coin shows raised, irregular lines where the metal squeezed through the break. Collectors often nickname these cuds or cracks, depending on their size and location. While minor die cracks are fairly routine, major ones, where whole sections of the design are distorted or missing, can command big premiums. Key features to spot on a 2015 missing clad layer dime include an obvious copper-colored surface, often on one entire side, along with a noticeably lighter weight. These coins can be about 10% lighter than standard dimes. Missing clad layer errors sometimes confuse the untrained eye because of how radically different they look. But under magnification, the surface texture and color are clear giveaways. In terms of market value, a circulated 2015 dime with a partial missing clad layer might sell for $75 to $150, depending on severity. Full missing clad layers, where an entire side is copper, start around $200 and can reach $500 or more for well-preserved examples. Coins with complete, clean separation and brilliant uncirculated surfaces are especially desirable and can break past $800 at auction. Die break errors vary widely in value. A small die crack might be a $20 curiosity, but larger, dramatic breaks, especially if they obscure key parts of the design like Roosevelt's head or the date, can hit $300 to $600 or more. In some cases, if the cut or crack adds a particularly striking visual element, such as forming an odd shape or bisecting the coin dramatically, collector interest surges even higher. One of the more intriguing stories from recent years involved a 2015 dime with a full missing clad layer on the obverse and a major cut on the reverse. The combination of errors was so extreme and visually stunning that it sparked a bidding war at a regional coin auction. Final hammer price? Just over $2,700. Not bad for a coin whose face value wouldn't even buy a cup of coffee. As with the earlier dimes we discussed, condition is critical. A missing clad layer dime with bright surfaces, full details, and minimal handling marks is worlds apart from one that's been banged around in circulation. Even slight rub or bag marks can drop the value significantly. That's why many serious collectors focus almost exclusively on mint state examples, preferably graded MS66 or better. Authentication matters just as much here, maybe even more so. Some coins develop strange colors or surfaces from chemical exposure, which can mimic the look of a missing clad layer. Professional grading services not only authenticate genuine errors but also label them properly, which can massively boost both value and buyer confidence. Another neat angle on the 2015 dime, because it's so recent, it's still entirely possible to find these errors in change. People regularly report finding missing clad layer errors and cud breaks from 2015 while searching through bank rolls or pocket change. It adds a real sense of adventure to everyday transactions. the idea that a modern era coin worth hundreds could be sitting quietly in your wallet right now. The 2015 U.S. 1 dime captures the magic of modern coin errors perfectly. It's a shining example that even today, with all our machines, precision, and oversight, the minting process still leaves just enough room for rare and spectacular mistakes. And for collectors, that combination of rarity, beauty, and story makes hunting for these dimes as exciting as any quest for an old gold piece or an ancient silver dollar. When you step back and look at all three of these coins, the 1998 no-mint mark, the wild 2003 errors, and the eye-catching 2015 mistakes, you start to realize something important. It's not just age that makes a coin valuable. It's the story, the chance, the survival against all odds. Sometimes, a dime becomes a treasure not because it's old, but because it's one in a million, carrying with it a tiny but unforgettable piece of minting history.